What was the biggest plot twist in your life? I was a mechanic, and my buddy had a PC at home. The manager of the shop asked if anyone knew computers, and I said I did, thinking that playing games on them meant I knew anything. Manager said, okay, you're going to a class and you're going to help with our computer upgrades. I've been in IT ever since. Also, I earn 4x what I made as a mechanic. I'm convinced that being able to Google makes you qualified enough in most small businesses. Broke up with my fiancé BC I'm gay, but before I tell her why she breaks down crying and tells me she is a lesbian. This needs to be made into a romantic comedy. Finding out my mom legitimately thought I was gay, which was the main reason I had problems with finding a GF, since she would tell any girl interested that I was gay. Don't be hard on her. She really thought she was helping. Turns out my wife and I went to the same summer camp when we were kids and ran into each other on more than one occasion. Found out when I told her about a trip we took to a roller skating rink and we had to leave early because the girl got groped by a random stranger. My wife was the one that got groped. I was not the groper, for your information, but at the time I was peed we had to leave early. Reminds me of how two people went to Disney World with their respective spouse. They divorced their spouses, met each other, married, and then found a picture of them at Disney World. Played soccer with a kid that his last name was the same as mine, and I thought it was funny, but just a coincidence. Years later I found out my granddad had another family, and the kid I used to play soccer with was his grandson too. I was celebrating a fake birthday up until I got my learner's permit in high school. Still not over it. Remember being a kid and running into your parents' friends at the grocery store or restaurant? Well, my mom got talking to someone in line at a sandwich shop. I don't think I was paying attention much. When we go into the car my mom asked me if I knew who that was. I didn't know, nor did I really care. She replied with, "That was your father's first wife." I had no idea my mom was my dad's second wife at the time. 8 Irish great-grandparents. 4 Irish grandparents. I'm alcohol intolerant. Handed in my paperwork to drop out of high school with 3 months till graduation to be a plumber. Was convinced to stick it out. Now almost finished up with a PhD in physics. Wanted to be a mechanical engineer since I was 6. Studied engineering at Purdue University. Got job as a data analyst and then a microbiologist upon graduating. Never had an engineering job or internship, but my work-life balance is exceptional. Taking my religion more seriously led me to abandoning it altogether. Being cheated on and that whole group of friends knew about it and found it perfectly okay. Fear not, I discarded most of them immediately. A girl that gave me multiple speeches about how I had no friends and everyone would be better off never seeing me again was indirectly responsible for my meeting my entire group of friends twice. That's no plot twist, it's foreshadowing. Thought I was a person who had some issues with mental illness but was pretty normal. Was diagnosed with schizophrenia at age 34. It turns out I've been half living in a fantasy world my whole life. Was trying to live my life but couldn't afford to buy a house. The paperwork for a loan was too complicated. For a reason, I decided. Gave up and saved in a mutual fund. Subprime fiasco started and mutual fund was starting to drop. Sold mutual fund and put nest egg in savings account. Lost my job as the economy tanked. Worried for a while then watched the meltdown. Waited 2 years for home prices to actually drop. Finally bought a short sale for cash 2010. Now comfortable and no bank controls me. Took some extracurricular math classes while majoring in art design in high school. Swedish high school makes you specialize from the start. Now finishing my PhD in biochemistry later this year. High school was still good though. Had fun with nice friends and still use the design stuff when making conference presentations and things like that. Would probably do it the same way again. My mom had been trying to set me up with a friend's daughter who I had never met for years. All the while I said no. We ended up meeting on our own and have now been married 5 years. Ex-wife is a lesbian. Didn't see that one coming. 32 years old. Stuck in a horrible relationship. She wasn't horrible. It was just that we shouldn't have been together. sure that I'd never meet anyone that really made me happy, that after the current relationship ended, I'd probably be alone for the rest of my life. Then I met the woman who is now my wife of almost 20 years. Falling in love with her wasn't like a thunderbolt from the sky. It was very much like, oh, there you are. Where the frick have you been? She is my absolute favorite person on earth, and I simply cannot imagine my life without her. She took a gigantic chance on me, on us, and it could not have worked out better for us or our family. Save a lottery win. Last fall, this girl of my dreams literally fell onto my lap and was the most amazing thing and told me how much she liked me and wanted to be with me. So then I asked her to be my girlfriend, but the joke's on me. She already lives with her boyfriend and I was just some guy she was fricking on the side. I'm still pretty hurt and confused. 2007. Craziest year of my life. It started well, went to France with the French club, started dating the girl I'd been crushing on, and quit my horrible job at Wendy's. I went to San Francisco with my aunt's family that summer, and that's when things started to change quickly. Before leaving, that girl I liked quite a bit broke things off. When I got back, I left a couple days later for Honduras. Church trip. While I was in Honduras, everything shifted. My dad lost his job. My mom's stepdad got some weird flesh-eating bacteria. My dad's dad was revealed to have been cheating on my grandmother with a man. And on top of all that, I was witnessing for the first time what real suffering was. There was a weird depression and guilt that followed those revelations. When I got back home, my dad started flying places for interviews and moved 3,000 miles away. It was humbling to move into a rental home the following year. Even more humbling when my mom and siblings moved away also. I lived with a friend's family for a few months. It seems like all any of us have done since that year is play catch up, along with many other families, and I'm so exhausted. Holy crap. That's a decade of scrambling and reacting. I'm 27 and already tired of this 7-day work week. TLDR. We were part of the middle class that disappeared overnight. Child of alcoholic father, swore I'd never make that mistake. Just got my 5-year AA membership award. While in college, I worked in an establishment that attracted a lot of high school kids. Here and there girls would flirt with me at the snack bar, but I never took it any further than that. But there was one in particular who I knew was more into me than the others. I liked her too, but she was 5 years younger and it was never happening. But for 2 years she always found reasons to be in my area. When I graduated, I moved 1,000 miles away and never gave her more thought, until 20 years later, when my brother-in-law got married. The first time I met his wife, it was her, also in a city nowhere near where I went to college. She knew it immediately and almost fainted. I didn't really realize it until we got to know each other, and she reminded me privately. It all came rushing back to me. To this day, it's our secret. Nobody else in our families, including spouses, know the details of this. They only know that I went to college in her hometown and we frequented some of the same places decades ago. Broken heart movie script right there. Sorry, mate. Not my life, but involves me. After spending all of her savings in the wedding, my cousin married for just 3 months files a divorce. No one of the family was expecting that. We thought she was happy in her new life. Born in Russia to a Russian mother and a German-Irish American father, moved to the US. In Wisconsin, grew up dreaming about owning a bar, running a brewery vineyard. Very supportive parents. Turns out I hate anything with an alcohol content. Found out husband was actually bisexual crossdresser into hardcore sissification and humiliation and weird hypnosis. That was a fun time for me. I never wanted to get married and I definitely never wanted kids. Met my wife when I was 20 and I'm now a happy stay-at-home dad. I turned out to be gay. Who knew? Your gaydar, which was beeping the entire time. When I was pushed out into this freaking world. I know how you feel. Had an awesome childhood, amazing family, academically gifted, plot twist, has depression and anxiety. Being diagnosed type 1 diabetic at 23 years old, I thought I escaped the family history. Got laid, no one saw that coming. Suicide attempt, subsequent stint in rehab. Glad you're still around. I've been a political junkie all my life basically, at least since I was old enough to be aware of it all. Got it from my grandmother, who was one herself. She practically raised me. In high school, government was supposed to be the hardest class of all. All I heard from everyone was how everyone failed it or barely passed. Yada yada yada. I aced it. A+ all across the board. Everyone, including my teachers, were amazed, mostly because my grades in other classes were crap. It was easy for me. I already knew most of it. So, come time to go to college, I chose political science as my major. Go to sign all the paperwork. A woman in the office told me political science was a junk degree. I'd never be able to do anything with it unless maybe be a professor. That sounded fine with me. I still want political science. She became perturbed that I just wasn't getting it. Stayed after it until she finally convinced me to go with something else. I had to think of something on the spot. She was telling me to choose something I could use to get a real job. Well, the agriculture industry is pretty big in my area and I did grow up on a farm. So I chose agriculture. Still didn't want to change. I had to go to another office to change my major. Told the woman there I didn't want to, but the woman in the other office made me. She ends up calling this woman, who then comes to the office I am now in and chews my butt out again about what a mistake trying for a political science degree would be. I eventually give in and go with agriculture. I didn't last 2 months in college before I quit. Have worked nothing but dead-end jobs my entire life. I often wonder how my life would have been if I had stuck to my guns on the political science thing. Raised as an extremely conservative Christian, young earth creationist, pro-life, hate the sin love the sinner type homophobe. Now, I'm bi, almost lesbian, TBH, pro-choice, and believe in evolution. I bought a deck of tarot cards and I'm dabbling in witchcraft and meditation and stuff for funsies. 12-year-old me would cry so hard. Engaged to my childhood sweetheart, pregnant with his child, lost it but didn't know I was pregnant, so you don't need to feel bad about this bit. Planning my future with him. Families met and loved each other etc. Plot twist. Went to uni, discovered who I was. Bam. Lesbian. Was raised Mormon and even went on a Mormon mission. Just to come home and realize it was all BS. Now atheist. Most of my family has lupus and arthritis. All of my aunts and mother, several cousins, my sister etc. Start realizing something's not right with my health and go to the doctor. Plot twist. No arthritis or lupus. I have a muscle disease and no one else in any of my extended family has muscle problems. I am a unique snowflake. When I got married we both thought and wanted for me to be working and her to be a housewife and raise kids. She makes more money than I do now. Moved to the other side of the country to get away from my mum. Best decision I ever made, never going back to the state I'm originally from. Being diagnosed with Wilson's disease 5 years ago, one day I pretty much woke up with signs of a stroke. Went to the emergency room, got diagnosed. Now I have to deal with the symptoms for the rest of my life. I spent 4 years studying to be a programmer. I had a terrible experience, but thought I just had the wrong teachers. After 3 different programming jobs and being miserable at each one, I finally found out that I just hate programming. I'm currently trying to become a project manager. Turned out to be a trans girl. If I ran into my past self this would take a lot of explaining. We'd probably get some Persona 4-esque or not me crap going on. There's other things, but going from a sad nerdy small town college boy wondering why my life didn't feel right to being a 20-something girl living in the big city is a huge change. I was about to leave a horrible relationship until I found out I was pregnant. Almost stayed together until our daughter's 2nd birthday. It stayed terrible until I left. He's a good dad but he's left me emotionally fricked up. 6-year stripper, graduating from law school in 12 weeks. Around 16 found out my dad wasn't my biological and my 2 older brothers were from a previous marriage. I was the only one in a family of 6 that didn't know. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.